express themselves. They feel like they're not expressing. And expressing yourself means, I learned this from, when I watched one of these, if you've ever seen some of these film festivals where they'll get a group of 20 people together and they'll say you're going to be in teams of 3 and you get a mop, a letter from somebody's mom, and a desk lamp. And in 24 hours, you need to make a movie about it. And I need it in 24 hours. And it forces you. So I think when you're forced to work within certain parameters, I think creativity emerges. It's not always free form that makes creativity work. I think a lot of times it is the teamwork. Being able to go, okay, I'm the drummer and this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm the bass player and this is what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I can break the rules, but if I break the rules, I want you to know I'm breaking the rules and I want you to work with me and support me. If you can't support me, maybe we need to find another rule to break. You know what I mean? And that's what we did. We did that. We found those things that we could support each other. When all those cylinders are firing, it really, really works amazingly well. And I think the longevity of this band, or probably any band like the Stones, I'm not putting us in the same category as the Stones or anything like that, but the Stones and bands like that, and even Motley Crue up until this year, yeah, no comment.
Is it in the book?
Yeah, maybe. By the way, there was no bass player under the stage, okay? I've heard that nobody was replacing Nikki Sixx, by the way. I will say that much. That's as much as he's getting out of me. Where was I at? Well, let's pose. Everybody, let's point at Greg over here and get a photo. Get that thing out. Take a photo.
Yeah?
Yeah, take a photo. All the
Oh!
Yes. Let's make this good.
Nice.
Pose to live to pose. Okay, so so what I was driving at is that a lot of times I feel like, and this happens a lot with drummers. We're different. But the whole culture is different, and it's not all our fault. If you see Guitar Player magazine, which there's not many magazines left, but you see Guitar Player magazine, it's not in high schools, it's not really in band colleges, but you see Modern Drummer there, right? It's the weirdest thing. You don't see a bass player in those places, but you see Modern Drummer or a drum magazine. It's odd. We fill a different role in the world than other musicians. But it's not all about us either. When you are working with other musicians, you're part of the music. You're not just putting drums to something. Oh, I'm going to lay down drums to this song. It shouldn't be that way. I feel like we should all work together, in a band. And I really, I feel like this is getting lost. And I'm not trying to be like, back in my day, but really when bands get together in a garage or wherever, and they work together and they care about what each other's saying and how the drummer feels, where he's like, this groove isn't working, it feels better with this. And you kind of, springboard off of each other, it's always going to be a better result. I mean, I'll go back to the Bruce Fairbairn thing. CeCe was in one room, Bobby was in another room, Brett was doing vocals. None of it mattered going to tape except the drums, and we were doing basic tracks. But it was the feeling of the whole band playing together. We did that in the first record, as much as the production of that first record was whatever, at least at Party, that record Party, and that was what that's what we had to work with, right? So we made the best of it, and I think it came out really fun and great, like a big live demo. And then, it was the same thing with Open Up, even with Tom Werman. Tom Werman, by the way, I just did a liner note for his book. He's coming out with a book, and I said, damn, Tom, I thought you were calling me because you wanted to produce another Poison song. and we were your favorite. He goes, no, I'm not producing anything anymore. I'm done. I'm an old man now. And, you know, and I said, no, you should do one more run. But anyway, he said, listen, I want to give you the option. He said, I just did the Motley Crue record, and you know, Tommy played kick, snare, and hat, and then we went back and overdubbed the toms with electronic drums and live cymbals. And so we kind of broke it up like that. Do you want to do it like that? I said, absolutely not. I want nothing to do with that. That's great that it worked, and you know, it sounds solid on those records, but that ain't me. You know what I mean? And because we didn't write the songs like that, so why would we record them like that? Didn't make any sense, you know. I'll put CeCe in a room. I want to see his face, and I want to see Bobby's face, and we're rocking together, man. You know, this is how you record live records, or not live, but this is how you record a good live feeling studio record, I should say, maybe more specific. We were talking earlier, I was talking to the sound man up here who's been doing a great job for me all day. Thank you so much. We were talking about back in the day when they did direct to disc. I mean, you were committed, that separated the men from the boys and the girls from the women. I mean, you know, you really had to be on your game. You got one shot at it, right? Kiss kind of did that on the one tour where they recorded to a mobile, and then you can buy that tape at the end of the, or a CD. They could print out a CD from that show. I thought that was kind of a cool idea, actually. So be part of the music. As a drummer, be part of it. You're not separate from it. You're not playing to it. They're not playing to you. You're playing together, man. You know, the drums are an instrument in itself. It's not like that's the tom and that's the snare. And I mean, you know, some of these times these drums rub together. And, you know, I always, you know, heard about some drummers that insist on drums touching so they vibrate together and all that kind of stuff. So that's one of my key messages, I think, is be a band. But let's bring bands back. Let's bring that rock and roll spirit back. And the only way to do it is in person, up close, in a sweaty garage or wherever. and then it's a soundtrack. It's a soundtrack for your live show. And that way you don't have these ridiculous, I mean, you know, people like Taylor Swift are, you know, killing it. My daughter is a little Swiftie. She's 10 years old. But it's so overproduced, and it's so hard for me to relate. And I don't, you know, and there's some newer bands that get it, and they're doing it, you know. I had the pleasure of working with Chevy Metal for a couple weeks. Taylor Hawkins' son is taking over the seat, but he's young, so he's only 15, 16 years old. So he's not kind of ready to do the whole night yet. So Kenny Aronoff and I went in and, you know, played part of the night over a couple of nights. And it was really cool because, you know, all these kids, there was a younger band that opened for us the one night, and they were killing it. And they got it, and they were having fun, and they're in the dressing room, and I mean, it was so cool. Nothing was to track, it was just pure raw rock and roll. All that track stuff is fine, it's great for pop. I'm not saying bad things about any of that stuff. Like Shakira, that drummer, if you ever get a chance to watch his YouTube video about all the duties he has as a drummer, it is insane. That guy is phenomenal. What's his name, by the way? Do you know his name, that drummer? He's freaking great, that guy. Like, covers so much territory is my point. So that's a hard gig. And some drumming gigs are becoming more that. You have to learn to read, you have to be able to play absolutely to a click and to a grid, and sometimes be able to program, and be able to mix it up between synthetic drums and real drums. This is the future, this is where things are going, and I know that, and you should know that too. However, it doesn't mean that if your dream is to have a live, sweaty rock and roll band, you can't do that too.